Welcome to another episode of Cadence Fishing TV. And we've braved the elements to come out and fish at one of my favourite venues, Earlswood Lakes. I'm fishing with Colin Harvey, my good friend and brand ambassador, and we've been fishing for about an hour, and I've had a hybrid about 8 to 10 ounce and a small roach, and I'm just playing what feels like a good bream. So we've really struggled to get out the last couple of weeks because of the weather. All the rivers have been so high and massively flooded, and basically it's just been raining every day, hasn't it, Colin?
Yeah, absolutely pouring. It's nice to get on one of the best lakes in the Midlands. By far my favourite lake, Earlswood. And James, you've got a fish.
That's a lovely bream.
That's a proper one.
At the moment. Come out of the way, mud. Well, we pleasure fishing on Earlswood Lakes. You can't use a keep net now, so we're going to return all the fish very, very carefully. You can see what beautiful condition that fish is in. They're absolutely beautiful. That's a good start, isn't it, Carl?
Absolute stunner, James. Wonderful.
So I'll get
fish.
that back. I'll just let Chappie focus in on for a second. We'll get it back nice and carefully. There he goes.
There he goes.
So what would you give me on that one, Carl?
£4 at least.
It was £3, wasn't it?
No, I think it's £4 that one.
All right,
it's
then.
quite a wide fish. I'll give you £4 for that one, and it looks like you've won the pound as well.
Oh, I forgot about that, because we had a pound on the first bream, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just into another one, Carl.
Very good.
And
Hey, I'm getting battered here, James. You have to slow down a little bit.
well, we haven't been going that long, and it's good that we're at least getting a few fish and indications. You've had a couple of line bites, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had one line bite and one bit of a rattle from a roach, but
But it's quite interesting. I think I've had 3 casts after that first bream with nothing. I was using 2 dead red maggots and a fluoro pinky.
Yeah.
And I just put 2 live maggots on and I got a bite straight away. So what are you fishing?
2 lives with tipped with 2 deads.
You're not messing about then?
They can't fail to see my bait.
Well, the fact that it's raining and the wind's in our face isn't helping Chappie with the camera, so I'm hoping that this weather's going to improve. It was forecast to stop raining.
Another nice fish, James.
Yeah, another lovely bream.
Beautiful condition, nice and pale as well.
There we go.
Yeah, very good. Good job we never had a pound on the second fish.
Another absolutely beautiful bream. That one's over 3 as well. Right, let's get him back. Off he goes. It's not very warm, but it's just good to be out.
It's absolutely freezing. As somebody said last week in a little blog we put out, it's Baltic.
Obviously we're targeting better sized bream. We're trying to sort of discourage the silverfish like the small roach and skimmers, and this is one of my favourites. This is Baitex Special G. It's a dark mix, very good flavour of fish meal, and I've just simply mixed that 50-50 with good old brown crumb that I buy from Lanes. I've used the fine brown crumb today because I want to reduce the feed content, and I didn't mix it up last night. I mixed it up when I got here, and what I like to do is keep my ground bait in a sealed bag like that, and then just add it to this 3-pint tub as I'm fishing. So basically I'm keeping the ground bait that I'm using as fresh as possible. A great tip that's worked for me today is actually mixing some dampened micro pellets 50-50 with the ground bait, and that's something I like to do. I don't do it to start with, but perhaps halfway through the session bites have tailed off. Just by doing that, sometimes you can really rejuvenate your peg, and the bream seem to love it, so I think that's a good tip.
Have you got another fish again?
Yeah, just another one, Carl. I had to leave that one in a bit longer though.
That's 3-0 now, James.
Just shows you it's good to do this, isn't it, to try two different distances, and at the moment they're definitely on this closer line, aren't they?
Well then, I've had a couple of indications on that 60-metre line and one liner, so there's something out there. They'll get their heads on it in a bit.
I don't know, this feels like a good fish. You've been catching some decent bream here, haven't you, in the matches?
Oh yeah, a lot of the fish they've been averaging £5, and some of the fish are £6 and £7 a piece.
It's fantastic.
And we have a famous fish in this lake.
Yeah.
He's called the Pope.
Right.
And I think he was round about £11 the last time he was caught. That's a good fish.
Do you know, I'm going to sound like a lunatic here, but it's fighting like an eel.
Well, I hope it is an eel.
It's not fighting like a bream anyway.
It's taking some getting in.
I don't know if it's foul hook, but the way it's fighting.
Well, I'm looking at the bend in your rod. Some big carp in here, mind, as well.
Oh, I'm regretting. I fined down a little bit, so I'm regretting that now.
It could be foul hooked, you never know. Just take it easy. I don't think you've got much choice but take it easy though, have you?
It's really fighting strangely.
Yeah, it's either an eel or it's not hooked in the mouth.
Well, I mean, it used to be famous for eels, didn't it, Earlswood Lakes?
Oh yeah.
John Sidley used to come and catch specimen
Yeah, 6 pounds, 6, 7, 8 pounders.
Yeah.
I don't think it is an eel. It's not backing off quite enough.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a big bream, somewhere about midships.
Or it might be a big old boot. If it is a big eel, I'm going to struggle to get it in my landing net.
I will give you a hand in a minute.
I think this is an eel, you know.
You think it is?
Honestly.
It'd be nice if it is to see a great big eel. I still have my doubts. I'll cast this out, then we'll go and get the netting. If it is a huge eel, he will take some netting.
I just want to see what it is. Oh, it's a bream in the tail.
You're a superstar. You're a superstar. Bream in the tail.
Would this count if it was a match?
No, definitely not. You sure you've not lassoed him in the tail?
We got him anyway. Made me look a bit stupid.
That's the flattest eel I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is actually just hooked in the side of his tail, so there we go. I would put that in a net in a match, wouldn't you, Carl?
No, I wouldn't have enough nerve to put it in the net. But it just goes to show me Bream are out in your peg now.
I'll hold him up for Chappie. Lovely 3-pounder at least.
So there's a big move these days into using this dark fish meal sweet ground bait. This bag here is Evolve Baits, and it's their sweet fish meal dark, and I've mixed it. This is pure ground expander pellet that we get from a bait company quite near Coventry. Superb stuff, and it's gone 50% that and 50% that, and that's been my mix for the day, and it mixes up beautiful together. Used half a pint of casters, possibly a little more. Dead red maggots, and a good tip with maggots, these maggots have stayed superb all day. Very often dead red maggots will shrink to nothing, but the secret with dead red maggots is when you freeze them, don't freeze them for too long. These are quite plump and they stay plump, they haven't been wet, and those have only been froze for 8 hours. If you freeze them for 16, 24 hours or more, these will go just like skins all the time. But if you only freeze dead maggots for 8 hours, you'll keep these nice plump maggots, and they don't come back to life after 8 hours. Red maggots has been the key all day long. 3 red maggots has been the best bait on the hook so far.
Well, the rod I'm using today is our 13-foot feeder number 2, and I absolutely love this rod when I'm casting feeders, probably up to a maximum of about 45 metres. I'm only fishing 35 metres today, and it's so easy. I love it because it's got such a beautiful action. It's got the power to cast, but it's got such a lovely progressive action, as you can see whilst I'm playing this bream. The tip I'm using today is the 2-ounce tip. The rod's supplied with 3 tips, ounce, ounce and a half, and 2 ounce. And with the wind today and the tow, and the fact that I'm using braid, means that the 2-ounce tip's absolutely perfect. Now just get this in the net. I've actually just altered the length of my hook length. I just increased it by a couple of feet. To start with, I was using a much shorter hook length, and it's gone a bit quiet, so I just thought I'd try a bit longer hook length. I'll show you in a sec, but I'll just put that fish back. Another lovely bream. That's got to be nudging 4 pound, that one. So I talked about increasing the length of the tail. I've actually gone up to around about 4 foot there. To start with, I was using a much shorter tail, probably just about 2.5 foot. A lot of the time when I'm bream fishing on lakes like this, I favour a Paternoster type of rig. That's what I'm using today. So I've got my Paternoster there, which is doubled up. That's a loop, and that's around about 5 inches long, so perhaps 10 to 15 centimetres, onto a snap swivel, and then onto my feeder. And I haven't changed the feeder today. I've just kept using this one because I haven't been having to cast too far. I've used that's a matrix feeder, and it's 30 gram. It's a medium-sized feeder. What I've decided to do today is I've kept the same feeder on, but I've just adjusted the feed that I'm putting through it. So at times I've been putting nothing through, other times I've been putting quite a few casters in. For the shot leader, I've used this 4 pound Pro Gold, which has a diameter of 0.019 millimeter. Good reliable, robust line. Again, because I'm not casting big distances, I don't need a heavy shot leader, and I've used around about, I suppose it's got to be about 20 foot of mono onto my braid, and this is the braid I'm using. It's actually from Holland, one of my old friends, Peter van der Villick, his company called Hardcore, and I really rate this. It's a very good braid. The diameter is 0.08, so it's very fine, casts beautifully, it's very slick. And I thought I'd just very quickly show you how I attach my shot leader to that braid. So I'm going to try and hold this up so Chappie can see it. But the way I like to do it is very simple. I tie a small loop knot in the end of the braid, and then I'll just simply attach the mono by using a half blood knot. So I'm not using a full blood knot, I'm not using a complicated knot to tie the braid onto the shot leader, but I just find this works very well. It's very strong and it's also very quick. So if I needed to adjust my shot leader or add a new shot leader, it's a very quick process to do it. And that was a great tip that Peter showed me years ago. Hook lengths. Again, I haven't had to mess around with that. I've just started and finished with this Vest Pro 012.5, which would have a breaking strain of around about 3.5 pound. You know, on a better day in the summer or when I'm catching more fish, I'd like to step up and use a heavier hook length, but I find in the winter when it's cold, fishing a little bit finer definitely helps. Sometimes I'll even drop down to 010, but that wasn't necessary today. And hook wise, I've stuck to one pattern and one size, and that's a B560 size 16. That's a fantastic hook. It's light enough for these conditions, balances well with the hook length, and also means I can fish a variety of baits. I can fish maggots, dead maggots, casters, and also small worms. So that's been my choice today. Well, Carl, we had that storm. It's gone a bit brighter again, and you're into a fish. So you were right. You were right that it might take a bit longer for the fish to come on that longer line.
Well, they're not. The bait doesn't go out there, James. But eventually, the fish will go to where the bait's put, won't they?
Yeah.
I'll get a few out there now. I'm, you know, very often in a match, that long line can buy you with 3 or 4 fish in the last hour.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of a challenge into that wind, casting accurate for a bit. But now the wind's died down a little bit, I can put it on the money out there every time.
That's good. I've just got one as well.
A double hookup.
So we got 2 on at once. If it was a pairs competition, we'd be laughing.
We would. I must say, James, the big distance rod feels nice with the fish on.
Yeah, that's the 13-foot distance, and it's a great advantage, obviously, to be able to have a rod that will chuck the distance, but also play a fish like a skimmer or a bream really nicely. It's still got a nice through action, hasn't it?
Just looking at the curve at the top of it, it's a big fish again, and it's absorbing the lunges. Very obliging usually when they come close in, aren't they? That's where I like to see them hook. Right in, if it was a salmon, I'd say that was right in the scissors. That's a proper bronze job. What's yours look like, James?
Yeah, it's a similar size, Cole. Another nice bream. I think maybe yours is perhaps a little bit bigger, but... Well, Cole, I've fished a few matches in Holland where you fish like this in a pairs competition, but both of you are on the same peg. I think it's quite a good concept.
It's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely a bit of fun.
I think it could work here, especially in the winter when the fishing's harder.
Well, I've never experienced it before, actually. We fished with my mates on the same peg, right? But you know, I don't know of ever a competition in this country where we both fish the same peg.
Yeah. The rules are you've got to be within 5 meters of each other.
Yeah.
And there's some huge competitions like that.
Well, we haven't broke the rules today then.
No. I think it's good because you can do this. You could, if this was a match situation, you know, we'd both fish a different line. And
Well, I've been quite lucky really, because I've been able to watch your bites when I weren't catching anything.
so, I mean, I've been fishing Earlswood Lakes since I was a kid. We used to come here a lot when we were juniors, and I fished all of the lakes here. But in recent years, since they made the Engine Lake into a carp lake, most of the Bream matches have been on this, which is the yacht, haven't they, Col?
Yep, they have. And this lake has gone from strength to strength. A couple of reasons really. When they drain the Engine Lake, they put the Bream in this lake. So, you know, coupled with the Bream that were already in there and the Bream that came out of the Engine Lake, it had a huge influx of Bream put in. Sadly, it went through a real bad patch. The sluice over in that far corner on there it fell into bad repair, and the fish were getting out and dying and getting caught in the sluice. And thankfully for Barry Cheese and Mark Carney, who stuck at it, they're the guys that really helped save this lake. They stuck at it.
Yeah.
Kept on to they're now the Canal and River Trust about repairing it, and it got repaired in the end, and the lake has gone from strength to strength. So, you know, I think those two lads deserve a big credit for what they've done and kept this lake going. It is now the premier bream fishing lake for big bream in the Midlands. The match weights can be as high as £100, and even in the winter, all the matches they've recently won a winter league, and most of the matches throughout the winter have been won with an I-20 or a £30. There's a fabulous lake. You know, there's not many places you can come in February and March and catch beautiful bream like we've caught today.
No, I absolutely agree, and all credit to them for doing it. And I must admit, it's got me sort of fancying having a go on the matches as well, because I love my bream fishing, but the last few years I've sort of concentrated more on the rivers. But I absolutely love fishing like this, so I think this spring I might give it a go.
Well, it is good fun in the winter months. You know, it is cold. You've got to wrap up warm, put all the right gear on, as we well know today. You know, it can be a bit Baltic at times. You know, you can sit here for hours and hours and hours and not get a bite. Then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 bream turn up and you catch them in consecutive casts.
I think it's got to be one of the best ways of fishing, hasn't it? When you, like me now, I'm just getting some indications.
Yeah.
And, you know, you'll get a decent bite and then you lift into a beautiful bream. It's a wonderful feeling, isn't it?
It is, and you can induce these bream to take. I've caught a lot of bream by just moving the feeder gently, just like that.
Yeah.
A couple of 5 or 6 inches, right? Don't be too keen to tighten up.
Yeah.
Put the rod on the rest, leave it fairly slack, right? And woof, it just takes off. I think when it's really cold, some of these fish are actually laced still with the bait in the mouth, and it prompts them to shoot off when you just move it.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, it's not easy fishing. A lot of people think it can be easy, but it's not. You've got to think about what you're doing. You know, you've got to fish to your strengths, fish to the conditions.
Yeah.
You know, I've been trying to pump into a wind 60 metres today, and generally it's not gone too bad, but when that wind gets up, it's not easy. It's not easy. So, you know, stick to what you can manage on this lake. If it's 40 metres as your favourite line, and it is the line that most people fish, stick to the 40 metre line.
I'm just going to try your trick. I'm just going to move the feeder a little bit.
Yeah.
I've definitely had some indications. Well, I totally agree. I mean, when you think about it, it's cold. You know, the fish aren't going mad, but we're catching them, and we're having some great sport despite the conditions.
It is, and you can keep your baits quite simple in the winter as well. A lot of people come here with loads and loads of chop worm and things in the summer. You don't need them in the winter. You know, just half a pint of casters, a few dead red maggots, a few live maggots, whatever your favourite ground bait mix is, and that's all you really need. And just providing you do it tidy and fish within yourself, you'll always get a few fish. See if I can get one to have a pull at that again.
I think you're right, and actually we didn't really mention it, but we didn't feed a lot to start with, did we?
No.
I think my sort of mentality on a day like this is you just don't know what to expect, so I'm fishing a medium-sized feeder, just putting a few casters and the odd pinky through the ground bait, and maybe not leaving it out too long to start with, just 5 minutes just to try and attract some fish but not overfeed them. I think it'd be easy to overfeed them on a day like this.
Well, it is, yes. There used to be a famous saying in the winter, starve them on the hook. But it's not that bad at the moment because the water temperature's up, so you can give them a bit of feed, but just don't go mad.
Best bait for me, Cole's been double red maggot tipped off with a fluoro pinky.
Yeah, and best bait for me, doing my usual thing, big bait, has been 4 live maggots. I've been ringing the changes. I've been putting an odd live maggot in this window feeder, some deads, some casters, and but live maggots have been king, I think. Very often it can be just dead maggots, but today definitely live maggots.
The wind always gets up just as you're casting out,
It always
doesn't
gets up. James, it knows I'm going to try and cast this window feeder 60 metres sat down, so it always blows when I'm ready to cast. But here goes. I think that's hit the mark. Only just. We just take a little break from the fishing and I'll show you the rig that I'm using right now. It's been my favourite rig today. It's a simple running feeder rig. There's no stop, there's no dropper. I prefer these Matrix rocket feeders. They're lovely feeders. You'll notice on the Matrix feeder that I put a band on there. Right, that is a sort of just to help keep the bait in the feeder for a bit longer. And I love this Corda super wrap. You just shrink it on with the kettle, small band in the middle, and if you're going to feed any particles, it just helps to keep them in the ground bait a bit longer. The hook that I'm using is a Guru, and it's their feeder hook, size 14, and it's tied to 0.15 line or £5 in old money. I always, with these hooks, carry a pair of snipe nose pliers and I pinch the barb shut. By having the barb flattened on there, it's easy to get at the fish, and if you happen to leave the hook in the fish can get rid of it, but also does help to keep the maggots on the hook as well. The other feeders that I've used today, and this is what they call a window feeder. It's one of the new Preston ones with all the holes spread around it, and it's very good for putting a plume of bait as it falls through the water. And the other feeder that I've always loved are these lovely little rocket feeders, and they've been wonderful feeders over the years on Earlswood Lake, and they go in the water very, very quiet. So those are the 3 feeders. The rod is the new Cadence 13-foot distance feeder number 3. It's a wonderful tool for throwing 60 metres like I fished all day today, and it's coupled with the new CS10 5000 reel, and this is loaded with 010 braid, very soft new braid, I think that comes from Holland, and coupled with the braid I have a shock leader. The shock leader is double the length of the rod, so it's about 26 feet, and it's of 0.23 diameter. So that's been the kit up that I'm currently using, and the successful kit today.
Well, Cole's into another fish on his long line, that 60 metre line. I think that's number 4, isn't it, Cole?
Yes, James, 4th fish. It's taken them a couple of hours to find the bait, but now they've found it, they're having a bit of a snap. Half in the way with that long line. Like I said, it always tends to come good in the end of a match.
Well, the wind's turned a bit, hasn't it? It's actually blowing right at us now, which isn't making it easy.
Well, it's extremely strong now. I've been having a job to punch the feeder into it, but when you get it right and hit the mark, they're there. It's one of them situations, if I could hit the spot every time, perfect, probably get 10 or 12 fish. It's a lively one. Some of these bream have got a little bit of go in them, especially the ones that are slightly bigger. Nothing's charging around there. Come on this way a bit.
That looks like a good fish, Carl.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, that one's absolutely pristine condition. That's an absolute Earlswood pearler of a fish. Look, not a scale out of place. Wonderful condition. 4 pound, 4 and a bit pound. Absolutely superb. We'll put him back.
This looks like a good fish, Carl.
Yes, James, it feels a good fish.
And you've taken all your fish on that 60-metre line, yeah?
Every one of them, yeah. A bit of a war horse, that one, James, I think, but he's a good fish.
It's a good fish.
It's in the bottom lip.
Brilliant, mate. I'll tell you what, considering the conditions and the time of year, this Earlswood's really come up trumps, hasn't it?
It's brilliant. It's one of the few fisheries that you could actually catch lots of bream in the winter. And it's come up trumps for us today. What's this, my 5th? 5 each, is it now?
I've had 7.
7? Oh, you're 2 in front. Dreadful.
But no, it's been great and it's been good that we've caught on the 2 different lines. I definitely caught better to start with.
Yep.
And then you've sort of caught better in the sort of second half of the session. So
let's put this fish
I
back.
think we'll get that one back.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I think I might go and have a warm up in the reservoir pub. We'll maybe have a quick pint.
I think we better have our pint of Guinness, hadn't we?
But I've really enjoyed that, Carl.
Superb, mate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, superb day. Enjoyed your company.
And thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching.